Hi, congratulations on your new digital SWAT welder. I did this car here and I put a new quarter panel on it, and what you're going to see in this videotape is me installing the quarter panel. Now I spliced it right here and I cut it off here. We MIG welded back here. I spot welded this across here with the two red guns. Down here on the bottom we pinch welded it. In the wheelhouse we pinch welded it. And in the door opening underneath the windlass here we pinch welded it. Also in here, and then down here, we single gun weld. Now down here you can see that I spot welded it, and this is all refinished and painted. It looks really nice. My friend Dennis did that and did a nice job, I think. The other thing that was done is down here on the rocker panel. You see down here, we did all these spot welds. Those were all done with the two-gun spot welding. Now I did this car, I got it ready for Bondo in about 6.5 hours. And the way that I did the car is I worked on the car after 5 o'clock. And generally went out for supper about 5, got back about 6:30, and worked till about 9. It makes a long day for me. It took me 3 nights to get it done. But you'll see during the thing that I refer to how much time it takes. It's a very, very easy repair. I got about 6.5 hours in cutting off and replacing the quarter panel. If you look in the book, and you all have books, you can go look it up. You look it up, and I'll bet you I beat flat rate. So this is a very, very nice way to do it. And now since I'm got time off on the weekend because I got my wife's car fixed, I'm going to go golfing, and that's why we got the clubs here, and we're going to go golfing. So enjoy your new welder, watch the rest of the show, and you'll have a good time. Bye-bye now. Hi, Paul Wilcox, Tite-Spot Welders. I'm going to show you the new machine that you bought, the Tite-Spot welder, and I'm going to show you and demonstrate some of the features and advantages this machine has, and teach you some things that I know about it that can prove useful to you to help you make more money when you use the machine. I'm assuming that you've unpacked the machine and that you've got it figured out that this set of cables, one of these cables goes to the upper lug and one of these cables goes to the lower lug. And with the two red guns, one goes to the upper lug and one goes to the lower lug, and this one here with the trigger, we tend to put on the lower because that's where we're going to plug it in. It makes it easier to plug it in. The red cord is opposite that, and it goes on the upper lug. That's the way I hook it up. I think that's the easiest way to hook it up. And then you've probably seen that you have a 50-foot power cord. Okay, on the machine itself, if we look at this machine and we scroll in on and get close on the thing, you'll see that we have, this is the program select. If you push this button, all of the displays change. And the reason for that is this has programs in it. Here's a listing of the program. 0 through 4 programs are for pinch welding. That's for the pliers. Okay? And there's 5 programs there. Program number 5 and number 6 are for the two red guns. That's the overlap welding. Program 7, 8, and 9 are for welding with the pins, which means the red gun and the electrode and so on and so forth. Any one of the programs you can adjust to anything that you want. You can move these things all over the place. When you scroll out, scroll back, you get my numbers back. My numbers are permanent, your numbers are temporary. These are good ballpark numbers, and it gets you into the ballpark. You're going to have to adjust it and fine-tune it for the automobile that you're working on. And it becomes quite easy to do after you've used the machine once or twice. And you can see that we don't change a whole lot. From program 0 to program 1, we change the heat from 50 to 60, and then we go to 70, and then we go to 85, and then we go to 99 on the power. But the time, we don't change very much. We got a 70, 65, 60, 55, and 50. So the increments of time is very small changes. We change the welding power much more. And you can see this is the welding preheat thing. That runs the welding transformer at 3 volts. 3 volts is just enough to get the work warm. And we'll talk about that a little later when we're using the machine. Very quickly, to change from this set of cables to that set of cables for the air cooling, you see there's a white ring right there. Just push down with your fingernail and you can pull the thing out, and you can push another hose in and you're done. Don't do that with the air running. This is a valve to control the flow of air, and and we use enough air to get the work done. That's all we use. And this is a good enough adjustment. It does say 70 psi on there. I test all of the cables with 180 pounds. This is where you keep your spare electrodes. We got our standard set back here. Here's our door panel tip, the high-low tips. And right here is the sharpening tool behind the air hose. And I got a tip screwed in here. And basically what you would do is you would take this and put this in an electric drill. You would spin the electric drill and you would take a file to it and you could sharpen the electrode round and concentric. That's how I designed the thing to work. It's very, very simple, it's cheap, it's efficient, and it works good enough. The diameter of the electrodes is very, very important. And if you read this set of instructions and follow this set of instructions, you can't go very far wrong. The very, very important thing, and I'm going to stress this more than once, these electrodes on the red gun are 1/8 of an inch. These on the pliers we sharpen to 3/16 of an inch to 1/4. That's how much we want. We don't, and we give them to you brand new at 3/16 because we know you're going to fatten them up to 1/4. We know what you're going to do. I'm going to take this car apart and I'm going to weld it with the pliers to the wheel house, 1/4 to 4 extension. I'm going to splice the car in here. Now there are people who will disagree with me. Well, they can. It's their privilege. Anybody can fix any car the way they want. Some fellas want to go up here. If you do that, you got to take this thing out. There's a lot of extra painting involved there. They want to go into the trunk. Well, that means I got to paint the deck lid. When I do this, you will see that I can paint this very, very conservatively. And painting conservatively is less expensive than painting with a lot of stuff. So I think it's very, very easy. I'm going to also show you there's a dent in the door here, and I'm going to show you with the red gun and the nail how we're going to pull the dents out. And so I'm going to take the car apart, and then spot weld. We'll go down here and grab a spot weld like this, and we're done. The spot weld is now on the floor, and I think that's a lot faster than using any other tool. It's a little bit expensive with some bits, and because it comes standard with an 8mm bit, but you can also get 6mm bits and 10mm bits, and you have to have a different arbor for them because of the way they drive. I think this is a cheap tool at $600. This head swings out of the way, so if you want to do this, you can. This is a really, really nice tool. I recommend this tool very heartily. Friends of mine have got these tools, have had them for 10 years, still using the tool. It's a swell tool. The nice thing about this is it's got a low speed, high torque air motor, and it doesn't overspeed the drill bits and into the work. Well, we got about 3 hours into this, and we've taken the bumper cover off, we've got the quarter panel off, and I've got the wheelhouse roughed out. It isn't quite done yet. I got most of this done in here. We've got some more work to do on there. But it's about 8:30 at night, and we started this about 6:30, so we've had enough for one day. And tomorrow night we'll probably finish it off with quarter panel on. And we were already making money on this because when we took the seat out, there was $1.50 underneath the seat, so we're already ahead of it. So I think you can see here that we've got the wheelhouse pretty well straightened out, and it's all kind of cleaned up. And if General Motors is watching, the goo that they put in there 12 years later is still sticky. So here's your new quarter panel. What we're going to do is we're going to cut that right along here. We're going to cut it right at the peak. I'm going to take my air chisel and I'm going to slice that right at the peak. That is the place you want to cut it. One other thing I want to mention, as long as we're showing you how to do this, when you cut that, you're going to raise a little lump here. You got to make sure that you grind that off so it's nice and flush. If the car is galvanized, make sure that you grind off the galvanizing. We can't tolerate galvanizing here. We also can't turn it down, Kenny. And you can't tolerate galvanizing on this side or on this side. Now you notice we got all three sides clean. And so that's what the deal is. And I'll come back to you in a minute. The next thing we're going to do is prime it. Some people really like weld-through primer, like this stuff here. 3M makes some other people make some. I don't like the stuff. I don't like this stuff. What I use is a product called Vinyl Wash Primer. It comes with reducer that has phosphoric acid in it, and this is the stuff. This is Martin Sr. PPG makes it, DuPont makes it, they call it Very Prime. All kinds of people make this stuff, everybody makes it, and I like it better. I find it more weldable. Being in Wisconsin, I find that I can put it on with better integrity. It won't rust. Anyway, all we're going to do is we're going to spray this up, just a light coat. Down here and all the wet stuff. I'm going to put some right in here. The next thing that I'm going to do over the top of that stuff is I'm going to take a light coat of wax-based rust proofing. Now this has got wax in it, it's made with beeswax. And this stuff here works pretty good. There we are. That's it. Now, I'm going to weld through all of that stuff with the spot welding, and that'll work out just fine. That's what I recommend. The other thing is, I have polished this and I'm taking the primer off of it on the inside of this part here. This is all sanded shiny. This is sanded shiny. I've gone to the trouble of taking the primer off here with a whizzer because it's faster to do it out here on the floor than to clean it up on the inside of the car. So let's get on with it. The whole idea is we're supposed to make a buck doing this job. The inside of this has been ground off. This panel is single-sided galvanized, and I've ground off the galvanizing on the inside of the new part. Don't leave the galvanizing on there. It doesn't like to be spot welded through. If you notice here, this is all ground off. This is ground off. We're going to butt weld that. I'm going to butt weld this back here, and I've cleaned it up. The best, cheapest way to make MIG welding work well is to get the dirt out of the way. Primer is dirt. The rest of the stuff we're going to clean up with a vice grip, and we're going to weld it on that way. So the next thing I want to do is slip the quarter panel on, and alright, I've already put a couple of tacks in, as you can see here, and what the trick is to put them, just make them evenly spaced. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut the distance in half, and I'll show you what we're going to do here. I'll get these in my other hand here. And we've got the machine set on program 6. The welding power is at max. I turned the weld time down to 23. I found I didn't want as much weld time as the program had said. The other thing is, take your wallet out of your pocket because this will erase your MasterCard, okay? That's real important. Otherwise, you know, when you go to buy groceries tonight, your MasterCard won't work. All you do is you just push one here, push one next to it, and that's it. And what we're doing is just simply cutting the distance in half between the welds. And you can do this rather quickly. Okay, we turn the air off so we don't have to listen to that noise. Alright, the guns are warm, but I was holding on to them with my bare hand. It took me about, what did you think that took me? 5 minutes, Kenny?
Not even.
Not even, yeah. 4 or 5 minutes to weld from here to here. The welding is done. Alright. What we're going to do here to put those welds in is we're going to take a 7-inch vice grip. Here's one. And all we're going to do is we're going to pinch this flange together with a 7-inch vice grip. We have it moderately tight, and we swivel the vice grip back and forth several times. Alright? That puts a bright shiny spot here, and on the back side of the wheelhouse we got a bright shiny spot. Now all we have to do to use the Tite-Spot pliers, take it off the machine, we unplug this trigger, plug in this trigger, select the program, and I think we're going to select program 1. Let's start out there and see what this looks like. I'm pretty confident that that will be a good place to start. And then all we're going to do, now you see how that's going there? And it started to heat the thing, and you can see the smoke come up. Now I don't have the compressed air cooling on, which I'm going to put on next. And I'm doing this just so I can show you. You see the smoke come up? And there we are. We have a weld in there. And it's actually too powerful. Let's go down to program number 0. That wheelhouse on this car is kind of made out of crushed doll heads. I don't think the wheelhouse is more than, if I were to guess, I would guess that the wheelhouse is not more than 24 gauge. And you're going to clean 2 or 3 spots just like this, about an inch, 1.25 inches apart. And then we just go in here and we weld them up. Now anytime that you take your finger off the trigger, the welder will stop. Alright? Alright, now let me turn the compressed air cooling on real quick like here. And you can hear it whistling. Alright? And now, because we have compressed air cooling, we are now in a well-ventilated area. You can see the smoke blowing around the corner. And that's all there is to it. Let me turn this down again so you can hear me. And that's all there is to it. It's a very, very simple procedure. It's fast, it's easy, it's cheap, it's convenient. A wheelhouse to prepare it, get it ready for primer is 6 to 7 minutes. Alright, I'm going to weld up some of the door opening here for you. Now I've cleaned this with a whizzer, but on the inside, I also took the vice grip to it to clean the inside. This is the easiest way. I also readjusted the power on the machine. I turned the power down, turn the preheat timer up. And that's what a good weld should look like, and that's what it should sound like. And if you notice, I swivel the welder a little bit, the pliers a little bit as she's going off. And that does it. That's all we need to get done. Now if I were to go inside with my grinder and take the paint off, it would be easier. But I feel like being lazy tonight. Alright, I'm going to stop doing that and I'm going to go to this part here because it's getting late and I'd like to go home tonight. And it's we've been at this about 2 hours tonight and I'm getting tired. And it's getting near 9 o'clock. So I'm going to grab the other cables and I'm going to show you how to do the 2-gun welding stuff. Alright, I've got the 2 guns back again, and I want to weld this in here and this in here. The trick to doing this is turn the preheat way up. All we're going to do is preheat these things. Now you just watch. Push very firmly. Now that's not welded. Okay, that's just heated up. And let me do a couple more here quick like. All we did was we heated up and we pushed it together. Now we have dents in there, and if you just trust me, you got dents in there. But now you've got clean metal on all three sides because that heat has gone and touched the other side. Everybody's ready to weld. Now you go back over to the welder, select the welding program, and I'm going to turn down the weld time. That's too much on it, I think. We now let's turn it back up. And there we are. 2 welds there. 2 welds there. And 2 welds there. If we simply went and hit it with that much power and had a little gap in it, we'd blow a hole. There's no point in blowing holes. We don't like blowing holes. You can eliminate blowing the holes by preheating it. You got a device that you can change. It changes very, very quickly. All I do is I just scroll down to program 0, and that's got 60 for a preheat time. All right, we got those in there. You scroll back over here, you go up to program number 6, you adjust the time to about what you think you ought to have, but you can take your finger off the trigger when you're done anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. And there you are, you got nice looking welds. You probably ought to stand up over the top of this thing so I can get some decent pressure on it. And that's how that's done. So, a lot of it's position, whether you can get to where you want to be or not. Very, very simple procedure. You got to learn some techniques, but the machine's very, very easy to use. It's fast, it's quick. You can use the programs. I think if you take a little time to learn how to make the thing work. And Kenny, if you get real close to this, get real close in on that once. And I'm going to take the whizzer and I'm going to give that a little polish job. And all I got is some Scotch-Brite on here. Now that needs to be ground because those nubers are standing up. But that's what it looks like when it's finished. 2 coats of Bondo and I'm finished on this deal. I think if you take the time to experiment with the machine and learn how to use the tool, you make so much money with it, you'll be able to go golfing every weekend. This is how I'm going to do in the tail lamp opening. I'm going to use this drill bit. And it's what's called a center drill countersink tool. And this is a number 4. Which means it has a 3/8 inch body. That's what this is. It's 3/8 inches across here. Alright? The pointy end out the bottom is an 1/8 inch. Kenny's going to stroke in a minute. We'll get a close-up of it. This is an 1/8 inch, and this represents the 2 pieces of steel, the top piece and the lower piece. And what I do, and I've done for almost 30 years, because I bought my first MIG welder in 1970, so I've had one for 29 years. So I think I know how these things work pretty good. And I find that the easiest way I know how to put in a plug weld is like this. Now other people will disagree with me and that's perfectly alright. They can do whatever they want. This is my vehicle, I'm fixing it the way I want to, and I'm fixing the way I fixed cars 30 years ago. I've had cars crashed on me that I've repaired this way. I have no problem saying that I have 100% integrity in the way that I do something. What I do is I take this and I drill through both pieces of steel with the 1/8 inch drill. I countersink through the first piece of steel and countersink halfway through the second piece of steel. I remove the tool, I put my MIG welder wire in here, I'm now on clean, bright, shiny steel, and I MIG weld the hole shut. I know that I have a good root weld because I have started in the root. I know that when I burn back in this area here, that I'm going to get a good weld. Now if Kenny moves up closer with the camera, I'll hold this little tool up here, and that's what it looks like. Alright? I'm wiggling it a little bit, so I hope that you can see that. Now this particular tool is a 90 degree. It's 90 degree center drill countersink tool, and it's a number 4. They make center drills in 60 degree, 82 degree, and 90 degree. 90 degrees work the best. This little tool is made by Keo. It's an American-made product. They cost about $5.75 each. One drill bit like this will probably last a technician at least a year, because you can spin it really fast because you're piercing with an 1/8" drill. You're simply countersinking with the second drill. You can buy the offshore brands, and they're cheaper, and indeed they are cheaper. But this is really a nice tool. I know how to do it this way. I think this is the best way to do it. Anybody else can do it the way that they want to. I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm simply telling you how I do it. So I'm going to get at it, and this the next thing you're going to see me do is drill a couple of holes. Be right back. See how quick that goes? Now I'm going to get a screw and put it in there. Well, we got the quarter panel welded on. About the only thing we got to do is finish up the thing and do a little grinding on it. We're going to grind this. That there, we got to polish the wheelhouse. We got a couple of welds in here we got to polish. I've already done the door opening. We butt welded that in here. Where this is in here, across here, I simply butt welded that. That's all spot welded. I did manage to spot weld the door hinge, or I mean the door striker plate. So everything fits pretty good. And I got 6.5 hours on it, and we're doing it under adverse conditions because the shop is just too small, and we're doing it after 5 o'clock. And I'm not as bright as I was at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I get a little more tired after 5 o'clock than I used to. So anyway, that's what the deal is. I think we're just simply done with the welding. I've cut the quarter panel off, put a new one on in 6.5 hours, and straightened the wheelhouse. And I have a feeling that the wheelhouse, we may very well have simply should have replaced that. I had about 1.5 hours to straighten that wheelhouse. That was a bugger. That was really. I pulled it out with a pogo stick when it was still crushed, but that was hit pretty hard. I mean, it hit hard enough that when we had the wheel, when the wheel was off, you could see we put a new strut on it and broke the knuckle underneath. So they've got a pretty good shot. The only other thing that we're going to do a little later on is we're going to spot weld these studs on down here, and then we're going to do a little pulling on this. We're not going to show you the whole deal. You understand how nails work, and I'm just going to show you a couple of settings, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to keep this as brief as possible. I'll talk to you a little later when we're putting the studs on. I am back. We have these little maneuvers on the bottom here to put on the molding clip. Now, some people like to use those, some people like to use screws, some people like to use whatever they like. What I did was I cut this piece off the old part and just kind of cleaned it up in the back, not very much. And I simply put it over the top of here, and I lined it up in this hole and lined it up in this hole. And what I did here where the studs were is I simply took a vice grip and I swiveled them back and forth, and I broke them off and I put a little hole through them. So now we have a hole in them, and I took a center punch and I went in with a center punch and just barely marked them, so you can just barely see where they're supposed to be. Anyway, the next thing that we're going to do is we set the welder. I've already tested the welder. Took a piece of scrap, the old sail panel here, and I put a couple of studs on here. For this car here, a power setting of 90 and 6 cycles seems to work pretty good. So, this is the only time we use the red vice grip, the red cord with the vice grip, for doing this kind of stuff, alright? So I'm going to clamp it on the wheelhouse, and since that's polished off from cleaning up the welds there, now what I've done is I've put in a special electrode. This is electrode that has, the back is drilled up, and here there's a hole drilled and there's a magnet put in here. If you want one of these tips, call me, I'll give you one. Most people don't find that they even like doing this, but if you do like doing this, then you can do this. And the little tip just sits in there. You've probably all seen this, and I'm probably boring you to death. But then all you do then is you just line this up. The nice thing is, an old guy like me, I don't have to look over the top of a contact ring. And it's done. There's one. Two. Three. And 4. So, we're all done. There's your 4 clips on the car. There's a couple here. There's supposed to be a couple here on this one, and we'll basically do the same thing, so I'm not going to waste my time showing you that. I just wanted to show you that little trick. Maybe you knew that one, maybe you didn't. So, alright. I'll be back in a few minutes. I've gone off a little spot. We've welded a nail on. You use one of these little T-puller things. You slide it on there. You can buy one of these from me. There you are. Plops that out. You can pull on this one here. Pull on it. And the nice thing is you can just break the nail off. So it works very nicely. You can also have these things like slide hammers, and it's got a collet on it, so you can slide over this thing. And this one's kind of nice because you can use the this thing moves the collar. The hammer, it's got a hex in it, and it's just like that. That's very nice. Okay. So that basically tells you how to use these. I'm pretty sure everybody knows all about this, and you can pull on these things, metal finish stuff, pick and file from the outside.
You want to show the welder?
And oh yeah, the trick here is that we take out the standard electrode, we put an electrode with a hole in it. I mean, this is the big deal. And I'll put my glasses back on here, and this is what it looks like when you put one on. You ready, Kenny?
Yep.
Scope way in. There you are. And you can pull on that nail, and then you can just break the nail off. So that's how it works. Pretty simple thing. I'm sure you all know all about this. But the ability of this power source to give you exactly the control you want, and you can set the power and the weld time. This thing is the bee's knees. There just isn't a better piece of hardware for doing this. is you can set this, and there is a difference between 4 and 5 cycles how they break off. If you go down to 3 cycles, they'll weld on less securely. You can change the power setting and do whatever you want. Do all that stuff. If you play with it and use it, you'll find out that it's a very handy tool. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention. This is the door panel tip that goes into the pliers when we're doing pinch spot welding. All right, and pliers are laying here. All right, we'd take out either this electrode or this electrode and put it in there, and this is going to weld on a door skin, obviously, and you're going to put it on this side of the door and put the dent on the inside of the door. One thing you can do with this tip is if you put it into this gun, you can do shrinking with this tip. If you have a knob hanging out of the quarter panel, a big knob sticking out here because the golf clubs hit it, you just sand the outside of it off, put it on here, and you can push it in. You can't believe what you can do with it. It is just truly amazing. You have to experience it. I could show it to you on camera and you wouldn't quite get what I mean. You have to really experience it. It's just really wonderful. I did put the 2 nubers down here, so we're all set on those. I showed you the nails. Oh, one other odd thing that we can do with it. Let's simply say you got a couple of seatbelt bolts that are frozen. Take one gun in each hand, put it on the head of this bolt, put it on the head of this bolt, and just cook them. You can take 2 bolts and heat them yellow hot in 1.5 seconds. I mean, you can turn a 3/8-inch bolt yellow hot. I mean, it's amazing what it'll do. You can use it in door openings, seatbelt bolts, all kinds of different things. And it's very, very handy. When you get your tool, and I'm assuming you have your tool now, take an hour and play with the tool. Do this, do that. If you got a quarter panel that you're going to replace, reach in the inside, wrap it with a ball-peen hammer, shrink it, do some stuff. The other thing is, this is one of the most difficult things there is to learn. This, I don't know why that is, but if there's any part of the tool that people have trouble with, this welding, it seems to be the most difficult. My recommendation is you got a quarter panel job like I had, you want to learn how to use the tool. Before you cut the quarter panel off, shine some area up here on the car, take a piece of tin and spot weld it on, and then rip it off to know what it looks like and what it sounds like to make good spot welds. The most important thing on the 2 guns is written on the front panel. Keep this electrode sharpened to 1/8 of an inch. It is very, 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 very important. It can't be more important than that. On the pliers, 3/16 to 1/4 of an inch. You can sharpen the tool with a sharpening tool that is in there. Sometimes the electrodes will get fouled, and you can take a piece of sandpaper. If I had one here, I'd show you, but I don't have a piece of sandpaper. Just make believe this is a piece of sandpaper. Oh, this piece of sandpaper here. All right, clamp it on, and you just pull it out. And it will sand off this tip and this tip at the same time because you folded the sandpaper in half. Very, very simple. It's quick, cheap, and you can get on with your work more quickly. Every now and then what's going to happen on the pliers is you're going to have an expulsion go off, and the piece of shard of steel is going to go into the electrode. When that happens, there's almost no saving the electrode. Throw the electrode away, put a new one in, and get on with the rest of your day. Your job is to weld the car together. The electrodes are very inexpensive. They're 16 bucks a pair at the time that I'm shooting this, so they don't cost very much. One set of electrodes will, generally speaking, do 100 quarter panel jobs. I welded this whole quarter panel up with this set of electrodes, and I'll bet you if you mic'd them, I bet you we didn't take off 2/1000ths of an inch in height. So, electrode life is very long, very good. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the discussion on the machine. On my analog video, I showed you some things on electricity, and what I'm probably going to do is just simply copy that information and put it at the end of this one. And whether you want to watch that or not is your business. I really don't care. but it shows you inside the transformer what it looks like, how we do the phase shifting, how to measure the voltage, how to measure the current. There's all kinds of things that I talk about. You don't need to know that to do the work, but it's interesting to know this thing. At least it is to me. I find anything that's like that is fascinating. So that's how you do the work. It's really simple. It's cheap, and you'll make a lot of money using the tool. And best of luck to you. If you have any questions, please, you know my number. It's on the front of the machine, 1-800-666-2358. Call me if you have a question. There isn't much about this business that I don't know. If I don't know, I'll tell you, I don't know. But when it comes to welding in general, MIG welding or spot welding, call me if you have a problem. I'll help you through it, walk you through it. It's just simply, it's a misunderstanding. So enjoy your tool, make some money, and see you at the golf course. Bye-bye.